This is Grumpy Old Men After Dark. Go mad or go home.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Grumpy Old Men After Dark, show number 25. I'm Jason. It's been a great week because, of course, I've got my two peeps with me. Peep number one.
We got to stop, Jason. This is 26.
Oh, we don't have to stop. That's not this kind of show.
We can keep going. Yeah, just because we made the big thing last week on 25, so I don't want people to think this is a repeat.
Right, man.
Speaking of repeats, hey, Rob, how are you?
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Welcome to the show. That's why
I'm coming through the fourth wall like the Kool-Aid Man.
Yeah, Rob is what we call quality control here at the GOMAD show. All the quality information and opinions you get here.
It's either 25 or 26, depending on whether you count the first episode as a pilot or whether it would.
I don't know. We're just gonna relaunch it at episode 1. It's like they do in comic books.
That's right.
25 in. We got to do
reboot,
volume 2.
The GOMAD reboot.
Volumes. That'd been good too.
Seasons.
So how you been this week, man?
Good. Been good. Been we finally got. I think winter is finally here for good now. So that's good, I guess.
Well, is it a little late? What does that mean? Now you're going to have snow till June?
Well, no, not till June. But yeah, it stopped snowing and melting, and so now we've had snow for like 2 weeks straight.
Yeah.
And it actually feels like winter.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, I hail from the same location as Rob, even though I don't live there anymore. And good Lord, it's been snowing there. It has been snowing left and right. Speaking of having left and right hands... also joining us again as normal, Mr. J Valentine. JJ, how are you, sir?
What is going on, party people? Yeah. And I just totally stole that from Gomez, and I really didn't mean to.
Don't worry, I don't think our listeners know who Gomez is.
That's good. They may.
Some of them might. But it's more of, they say imitation is the highest form of flattery.
Well, I was actually saying it before he was. You know what I'm saying?
I know.
I think, with our good friend Tiny Tina, I'm just kind of briefly, we all know that that's something that we all say. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Wait a second.
But no, let that
What
hang
do you mean,
there.
we people?
Let that hang there until next week. So you all just chew on that until next week. That's a little teaser.
I think that's
for our listening audience.
You know what I call that?
What?
I call that Nick bait.
Nick bait.
Nick bait.
Well, now here's my thing. Now I'm trying to see our beautiful faces on our live feed. So, am I missing something?
No, I don't know what the deal is. It should be no problem. We're on the live feed.
All right.
I don't know what the deal is.
All it is just an embedded video titled "I Love Caleb."
I would have our fearless leader check that.
That sounds great. But no, my week's been going well. Today I made a slow cooker, low fat chicken and dumplings, man.
Nice.
And it was quite nice.
Really?
And filling. So yeah, it was only 333 calories, for a serving. So I'm excited. I was excited.
I saw
about
a picture of it. It looked delicious.
Oh, you didn't see the serving. I had the serving of dumplings with a side of mashed potatoes, man.
Nice.
Yep.
I made chicken noodle soup yesterday, so I think it's definitely the season for it.
Now, do you do with your chicken noodle soup? Do you do it with mashed potatoes? I know some people.
No, we use just a broad egg noodle.
Okay. Well, I mean, I've seen that people use a broad egg noodle
and mashed potatoes.
They're called lady egg noodles, gentlemen.
Lady egg noodle,
not broad.
Oh,
not broad.
That's right.
But you know what I had for lunch today? I had Campbell's put out this chicken wonton soup, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna try it out. And so I'm making the soup and everything, and I get it put in the bowl, and I'm eating it, and I'm just like, this tastes just like chicken noodle soup.
Hell yeah, it's chicken.
Yeah, it is. It's like they made this soup for our good friends from the Far East to have this soup but it's just chicken noodle soup.
Right.
Because they're like noodles. No. But wontons is cool.
Now containing 1,700% of your daily salt intake.
Dude, I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you.
That's beautiful. I just had some chicken sausage and noodles.
Nice.
Now that we've run through our foods for the week.
Mm-hmm.
Well, my food's still running through me. You know.
I don't even want to talk about yesterday.
Come on. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have an issue?
Dude.
Issue?
Yeah, man.
It's all part of getting old and grumpy, you know.
Dude, I'm telling you, I had an old person problem yesterday, man. I'm just like,
what was
going on? Huh?
What was your old person problem?
Old people at his house wouldn't leave.
Oh, I
yeah,
see.
Man. Stuff was backed up. Yeah, they wouldn't leave. The old people wouldn't leave the house. I was trying to get them out of the house. They just wouldn't go. It was such a pain.
Yeah, old people are like that.
Out of the house.
You gotta start having issues. Let's start having gas and be derogatory about their haircut and their weight. They'll move. They'll leave eventually. Get the idea.
Yeah, man. You know it,
dude. So man, so what's been going on this week, gentlemen? Did you guys see? Well, I gotta jump on something real quick before we're not gonna probably beat on it too much on GAD tomorrow, but Rob, I noticed online.
Yeah.
I don't know if you noticed it too. The Walking Dead, or excuse me, Dead Horse 3, or Dead Space 3, has a glitch in it.
Really?
That you can make unlimited materials.
Really?
Yeah.
Oops.
It's like Chapter 8, but like when you get to towards the end of I don't know if that's the end. I don't know how they're set up, but yeah, there's this, and it's online, the whole 9 yards. I don't know if it's been patched out or not, but
I'm guessing it will be shortly. So I guess the just to jump in, I think probably the key there is if you're going to play Dead Space or Dead Horse 3, don't download the update, right?
Right. Which means, what a great segue. Which means you won't be able to play it online while you're doing that.
Right.
And that's going to be an issue, JJ. Why is that going to be an issue based on rumors that are flying around right now in the
man. Rumors are flying around is that, GameStop stock is plummeting because of the rumor of the Xbox 360 is going to require you won't be able to play used games on your system any longer.
Always online.
Always online.
Always online.
And you have to have an activation code. It's kind of like buying Windows Microsoft Office for your PC.
Okay, now go ahead, Jason. Are you going to jump in there?
No, go ahead, Rob. I've got a theory, but go ahead.
I would say, we may have talked about this on one of the earlier shows, but this is something that is essentially a non-issue. Okay, and there are some simple fixes to this that would, if this was actually about anti-piracy, you can get around this. Now, I do computer work in my daily life, and I've worked in some design shops that do CAD design and that sort of thing, where we're using things like SolidWorks and CATIA. These are $30,000 to $60,000 packages per seat. Okay, and the way that they get around the licensing on this is you have a hardware key. It's a USB key, and as long as that key costs $60,000. So as long as you have that key, you can use that software on any PC it's installed on anywhere. So when you buy your Xbox Live account, you get yourself one of those keys, and you link your game or you link your box to that key. So once you've registered that, you can take it wherever you want, and if you sell the game, you basically disconnect the game from that key, and it moves on to the next person who can register it. So I think the point is that if this were about anti-piracy, there are other remedies.
Right.
This is not about anti-piracy.
Right. This is my theory. First of all, you heard it here first. Rob claims the Xbox 720 will cost $60,000.
That's right.
Second, this is about burying GameStop and the brick and mortars. My opinion. This is what I think. I think this is Microsoft has said in the last 5 years that their model of ultimately is going to be everything's a digital download, and they will be working on this is the next step of that. I mean, this is, the way as successful Steam has been with this stuff. There's no reason why Microsoft and Sony wouldn't take that step.
But how? Well, the problem is that Steam started off that way, and the other problem is that I can go to anybody else's PC and play my games as long as they're downloaded with my Steam account.
Right.
So, I'm willing to overlook the fact that I can't sell my games on Steam. Although I thought that they were going to start doing that, allowing you to sell used games. But at any rate, the bottom line is that if I buy a game, buy a disc in a clamshell with a booklet or whatever it comes with, I can't turn around and give that to somebody because they will not be able to play it.
Right.
In my opinion, that is horse shit.
Wow, well. I don't disagree with that. Obviously this is a big rumor, and I don't know why Microsoft. From what I can tell, the Xbox doesn't have a problem with piracy. At least not huge in this country.
On the very fringes, I think it does, but it's certainly not taking market share away. I mean, these are not people who are going to be out buying games anyway.
It's not as prevalent as it was, like, let's say, during the PS1, right?
Right.
The PS1, I don't know how they did it, but everybody had a modded box.
Yeah, or the first Xbox.
They all had modded boxes. You get copies of the software. Wasn't hard to do. I've not even, and it maybe I'm a different position where I actually can buy stuff. I'm not scratching for every penny to buy games, but I haven't even seen or heard of a pirated game in the States.
But part of what I enjoy about buying a game is that I can buy it and play the hell out of it, and then turn around and give it to somebody else. Give it to give it to a friend, or give it
a nephew,
or sell it with my Xbox when I do. Typically before a new console comes out, I'll sell my current console with all the games I've got, and that goes a long way toward subsidizing the new one. But frankly, if this is the case, if they are really shutting out used games across the board, I'm calling it right now. I'm done with Xbox.
Oh yeah! Wow.
Yeah, that's what. And he's not saying anything different than what I'm hearing other people say. I mean, it's just like if. And I was thinking yesterday, what if Sony's thinking about doing the same thing? They just haven't said it yet.
See, I think this is my opinion. I remember my guess. I think Microsoft's testing the water with this. Yep. And it's unfortunate because I have no love for GameStop, but I think that GameStop is suffering from basically a broad scale. Market research attempt here. Right. They're basically trying to feel what the response will be, as if they don't know that already. And I'm afraid that GameStop is suffering as a result. But
part of this is right. This is rumor and speculation, first of all, right? So we don't know all the details. There may be a requirement for an always-on connection, but maybe we're going to be in the situation going forward where you have to pay, like, you buy a used game and you have to pay $5 to activate it online.
Which is still bullshit.
I understand that, but there's two sides of this story, right? But software licensing to me is a bit of a weird thing, right? Because it's a weird type of commodity, and this is every warning you ever read on a piece of software. Basically they reserve the right to just shut you down anytime you want.
Yep.
So I just I guess this happy medium. I mean, you think this is being driven by the big, like, I'll just say it, EA, and the other big publishers looking to make sure they get their cut on every single hand that touches the piece of software?
Well, I mean, EA is already getting their cut, but because they already do if it's a used game, you gotta pay $10 to play online. And like we talked about before, they're not giving us additional content for that extra $10. Yeah. Their games are not. I believe their games are not. At least not all of them run on central servers, so it's not like you're paying to support some sort of infrastructure.
Yeah. So
frankly, if I buy the game and I'm playing it online, and I have the code for free play online or whatever it is.
Right.
If I sell that game to somebody else, the money to pay for that online service has already been paid, right? And
Right.
if I sell the game, I'm no longer playing it.
Right.
Why does Microsoft care? This is what I don't get out of this whole deal. Why does Microsoft care?
Yeah, it's
Oh,
not like
you
EA is
think-
not going to publish games for their new system, right?
You know what?
Yeah.
I wonder if Microsoft's getting pushed from the developers because they're getting flack for having putting those code in. Like if someone buys a game and then all of a sudden they get the game first, they put the code in and no one else can play multiplayer on it until you go buy another one. And everybody's like, "Blah, screw Square Enix, screw EA, blah."
EA started that whole
Right.
thing.
Right.
Yeah.
So now they're all like, "Look, can't you do something on your end? Can you do something at the hardware level? You know what I'm saying?" And that's the thing. That's why I said that, man. It's just like because I think about these cell phone companies like AT&T cutting the whole unlimited data, right?
Yeah.
And then as soon as they announced that, I was like, everybody was like, "I'm going to Verizon." I was like,
No,
same
Verizon's
thing's going to
gonna
happen to them. Same thing's going to happen. And then 6 months later, what they say, "Hey, everybody, we're going to have to not do unlimited anymore." And
Well,
I think that's what's happening is that
Go ahead,
Microsoft is
yeah.
jumping on the sword before everyone else, so they can get through it all.
Well, I'm going to tell you what this is going to do. This is going to push a lot of people to exclusively be on Steam.
Yep.
Because you don't have those issues because you know what, frankly, none of this crap actually for real goes on sale that you can easily get it, right? I see deals all the time online. People tweet them. Major Nelson tweets them.
Yeah.
And I like Major Nelson. He seems like a good dude, and I think he's a pretty stalwart face for his brand. But if I buy a copy of Halo for $40 somewhere, it's not at Best Buy. It's sure as heck not at GameStop.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's going to cost me $4 or $5 to get it to my house unless I happen to get it on Amazon and I have Prime.
Yeah, or it's 3 years old and nobody wants to play it anymore.
Or you have a bunch of games you traded in and took to Best Buy.
Yeah.
Which you won't be able to do anymore.
Yeah, that is true.
Right? If it's true, right? If it's true, that whole piece of the game economy. So what happens then? So GameStop. I think it's pretty well known that their revenue stream is out of used games. They don't.
Oh,
I don't think they
absolutely.
make a lot of money on anything else because nobody buys new from them hardly anymore. And because if you ever try, they're the worst about trade-ins too.
Yeah.
Microsoft. Best Buy is much better.
There's been more than one time where I've gone in there for a game that's a week old, and I ask them for give me Gears of War 3 or whatever, and if you don't specify that you want new, you will get used.
Oh yeah.
A week old, okay? And not only will you get used, but you'll get it for $55.
Oh wait a second. They do that if you don't specify?
Oh yes.
Oh, I'll come after the freaking
Yep.
nerd. I'll kill him.
Yep. And it's easy for them to do because they don't usually put all their games in. If you get the box off the shelf and stuff, they got to put the game in it and all that. It depends on your location whether they do that or not, but they're not always shrink wrapped.
I can't ever find my way around that place. And it's
Dude,
the tiniest store in the world.
yeah, I want my games shrink wrapped.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, just no doubt. So it'll be interesting to see what happens, Rob. I think you might be right. I don't understand the impetus for that at all. Obviously, we got to let Microsoft say their piece before anybody makes a decision what the deal is.
Yep.
But what does this do now? Let's say it's twofold, right? Let's say one of the big things they're doing is they're just trying to go all digital, right? That's been their mission. They want to be digital media, period. They don't want to ship discs. They don't want to do any of that stuff. So let's say that's the case. I was thinking, what does that do to the nostalgia market? Hey, I've got my PS2 downstairs and I played War of the Monsters the other day because I threw that disc in. What happens there? Is everything going to be $40 forever?
I'm telling you, we had the same conversation yesterday, man.
Yeah.
It was, yeah. I mean, I don't know, man.
Right?
It's crazy.
Yeah, because it's essentially a monopoly, right? I mean, they're price fixing. You know, because if used games are useless, then they can set whatever price they want for as long as they want it, and you have no other pipeline to get that.
Well, you do have a pipeline, right? You've got other, I guess, alternate retail sources. You got Steam, you've got Good Old Games, you've got Green Man. You got a lot of these little shops out there that this. But now you're going to be, of course,
Yeah,
even with Steam.
I mean, they don't. There's no margin in that price for them, right?
No, I understand that. Right. Well,
So,
I mean, obviously Valve makes money doing that, regardless of what the price is. Right. I mean, they're
yeah. No, I'm talking mainly about right now, at least about the stamped discs, in boxes and all that. So,
I see. Yeah.
But if Microsoft's going to go all download, which we know they are at some point, then yeah, I mean you're only going to have. I mean, they're basically turning the Xbox into an iPod, right?
Yep.
So you've got one source for all your software, or I should say, well, source is a bad word because it's, there are multiple developers, obviously.
One standard, right? It's kind of more of a standard, right? You have everything's got to go through the iTunes store and be good to go and whatnot. So, yeah, it's really one standard. But yeah, Rob's right with that. It'll be interesting to see. We got, what is it, next week? No, week after. Week after we got
the PlayStation 4 announcement.
PS4. I think it's going to probably be called PlayStation 4. I can't imagine PlayStation would call it anything else. Can you?
Yeah, you never know, man. They might try to surprise folks, but it'll probably be PS4.
PlayStation's such a great brand. The only thing I think they could do is just call it the PlayStation. Right? Go back to that freaking old school where they go. You go back and name it what it was before.
The new PlayStation.
No, yeah, PlayStation Next. Are we still there? Or PlayStation X? No, we're not there either. So it'll be interesting to see in the next couple of weeks what goes down, man. That could be a big game changer. We could have a lot of people. We could all be hanging out with the Hatchet Man on PS3, PS4, hanging out playing some games.
Yeah, but I think if Microsoft does this, I think Sony almost has to, right?
Yeah,
because especially if the push is coming from EA and everybody else, then.
And that's why I said I think someone's just being quiet on the PlayStation side,
Yeah, or it's not true from Microsoft's side, because honestly, they got to know that if Xbox does this and Sony doesn't, I will go out and buy a PlayStation. That's how strongly I feel about this, and I can't be the only one.
And maybe the thing is, all the rumor was, JJ, that I saw, maybe you saw something different fleshed out. The actual rumor said it had an always-on connection. And that was it. Now, could there be another reason for the always-on connection? I don't know. But it'll be interesting. Not everybody's got the most reliable internet connections.
No. And some of us travel with our Xbox to where where we don't have broadband.
Right. You wouldn't be able to play in your hotel room anymore when you bring it with you.
Yeah.
Right. So I just seems to me to be pretty heavy-handed for either one of these guys to do this in this case.
And it seems awfully abrupt. I think it's too big a change too soon. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you gotta make people feel that it's okay.
Yeah.
That you're not hosing them over.
Right. We don't like to be hosed, Microsoft.
No,
if you're listening,
we do not. Speaking of being hosed, JJ, you playing Halo this week?
I did not play any Halo this week, but I did play some BioShock and
another 10 minutes of BioShock.
Yeah, I finished I finished the medical wing, which is cool. So I got to do the whole harvest the Big Daddy. I got to do that.
Big Daddy fight.
And of course I saved the girls. And
of course you did.
And it's good. See, this is one of the things that I like. So Renee, she's harvesting the girls.
Dude, you better sleep with
Hardcore.
one eye open. That's all I gotta say.
Oh, no kidding. Oh man.
And that's what I was telling Renee. Renee was like, "But I get maximum Adam."
Yeah, get out of the house.
Don't say it too loud, man. She might hear it, man.
You're right there.
She won't let me escape, man.
She's staring at him right now.
She's
Yeah,
already
you
closing
won't
the
be able to
door.
overpower her. She's got all that Adam.
She's closing the door, man. I can't even get out now, man. It's
Tell her
over.
you're being broadcast across
I'm
the
at-
whole inner tube, so there's
I'm
nothing she can
Actually,
do.
I love you guys.
I'm actually reading the BioShock book right now on Kindle.
Really? How is it?
It's interesting. It starts out a little slow, and I mean, it's really well written. I mean, they go into a lot of detail about how Rapture is built and all that.
Right.
And I think I don't know where it's going to end up, but it's sort of a prequel, I think, to BioShock.
Mm-hmm.
But
It's going to end up with a plane crash.
well,
So-
yeah, or there's going to be one somewhere in the middle. But I'm
Right.
about halfway through, and we're just now discovering Adam and Eve, and so we haven't gotten to the sisters yet. But
So
that's interesting.
I have to say, man, I got telekinesis, man, and oh my god, I love telekinesis,
Yeah.
Are you like throwing those dudes up against walls?
dude. That, and then also I'm throwing gurneys around, you know.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, I noticed that if I do it on somebody's head, it pretty much makes their head explode.
Really?
Yeah, unless I
See,
did something weird.
I got through like 75 or 80% of that game, and I had telekinesis the whole time, and I don't think I ever really used it for much.
Dude,
No.
I don't know why. I think I got to Flame and Frost, and I think that's all I ever used.
I was like, I just need fire and electricity.
And electricity, right? Yep, electricity.
I had to keep fire, man. 'Cause I just want to burn shit up. You know what I'm saying? Oh,
Do you have electricity yet?
no,
Dude.
that was the first one you get. You get electricity, but I traded it out with telekinesis.
Oh, dude, because electricity is great. You see a bunch of them like standing in a puddle of
Yes.
water. You
Yeah,
just friggin' zap them all at once.
and I
Oh, yeah.
think it's pretty effective against Big Daddies too, if I remember correctly.
Big
Yeah.
Daddies use it, don't they?
I don't know, dude. That first fight that you just did with the Big Daddy
Right.
That's brutal.
is so freaking hard.
Yeah.
Well, it
'Cause
depends what you play it on.
Oh well. Excuse me.
No, no. I think it's the opposite. Jim. What do you think? I think it's the opposite.
No, exactly. That's what I'm saying. I'm
Yeah.
like, it really depends what you're playing on because I'm playing on casual. I want to
There you
enjoy the
go.
Oh,
story.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's why. don't take it like that, Rob. Don't take it like that at all. 'Cause I'll be the first one to say if I see a normal, hard, normal, hard, and nightmare, I'm like, damn, I don't know if I'm gonna like this game.
Yeah.
You don't know which.
Yeah. What size soft drink would you like? Medium, large, or extra large? Son of a bitch. What the?
That reminds me. Either one, you guys watch Parks and Recreation?
Yes,
They had
Yeah.
the one. You see the one where they were going against the Sweetums company and the soft drinks.
Yeah.
yes,
They had a child size one. It was the size of a 3-year-old.
yes, man. Dude, I'm telling you, man. I mean, I'm serious, man. Especially, kind of what we're going to talk about tonight. Kind of going to swing us that way about how games end. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we talked about a little bit last week about how I think it was last week or the week before when I talked about I have a hard time finishing games because as I get closer to the end, I start getting sad because
Yeah.
it's like, oh man, the story is going to end. I don't want it to end.
Well, there's already a BioShock 2 out there, so it's
Well, but
you got that to look forward to.
Right, so that is a good side.
that kind of explains why you love MMOs so much, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
that is
Story
why.
never ends.
Right.
Um, But speaking of MMOs, we're segueing still into it. So we're talking about this week. JJ brought up that he wanted to talk about endgame.
No,
And-
that was Rob.
Well, excuse me, Rob. And
I know it's easy to get us confused, but
I know, man. We just, see, Jason just like they both look better than I do, so I can't
That's
get the
right.
name right.
I cannot believe that everybody can tell us apart. Sorry. Yeah, there you go. Put that in your pipe and smoke it, internet.
That was twins, right?
Twins, yeah.
You
Yep,
betcha.
yep.
Yeah, you
Yep.
betcha. So this week, I got the hooks got laid back into me.
Oh boy.
Not only you.
Well, though there's unnamed also. We're going to let that slowly drip out over the internet. We're just talking about Jason. I started playing WoW again. And
Welcome home, Jason. Welcome home.
So the deal is, so I had played a little bit of Pandera, and I played, or excuse me, Pandaria. Let me get it right. And I was really leveling a monk, and I was having fun doing that. But I hadn't ever actually played on the news in the new zones.
Mm-hmm.
And so I get out my main, my
Warlock.
much loved Warlock Shaky Legs.
The one that's been powered up and revamped, and everyone's loving the Warlock.
Oh, the Warlock is so it's. I know the nerf bat is coming so hard and painful.
It already came, man.
Did it? It's still powerful as all get out.
Yep, it already came.
I will say this: the Warlock has lagged for a couple of expansions now.
Whatever. Don't even get me on shamans, but go ahead. Anyway, go ahead.
That's a different show. Anyway, let's talk about it. So, Robin, if you don't know, I know you've never played WoW.
Yep.
Yet. Anyway, anytime you want to be recruited, I can do that for you. Anyway, the whole Pandaria thing is the monks, the pandas, the Pandarians are based on there's Asian culture, right? They're a melange of Asian culture, mostly Chinese, I would say, but there's a little bit of everything there. First thing is, the music is the best. That's the best video game music I've ever heard. I think the music's fantastic, JJ. I don't know what.
I was ready to argue about Wrath of the Lich King expansion, but go ahead.
Wrath is, yeah, but I think I've heard Wrath so freaking much.
Right.
But you're right. But that it's so perfectly fits the motif.
Yep.
It is just dead on. And then I was playing around with my Warlock, and I was going around, and at one point there's a story element, and one of the monks turns and they goes, "Oh, you look like you've seen a lot of battles, and you've been through war. You have the what do you say, the enthusiasm of use, but the look of a veteran. You've lived your life in much battles." I kept thinking to myself, this character I've had for about 6 years now, and I have been in a lot of battles. I was like, man, this is pretty awesome. And so it got me thinking. I'm like, well, why? Hello.
And the cool thing, I'm just gonna kick in, and the cool thing about that part where where the guy talked to you about you've been battle hardened, everything.
Yeah.
It is different for each race that you're on.
Really?
Yes.
So we'll have to talk about this at some other time, right, because I can just go on and on about what I think so far of this expansion. So it got me thinking. I'm like, okay, I've played a couple of other MMOs before, and I've played WoW quite a bit, but I've played Sweater, and still played Guild Wars 2 quite a bit. And what's the thing that I feel is missing in those other games that WoW brings to the table?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the end game.
Right. Yep.
So I play, playing Guild Wars, and I'm just about to max level, and I ran all through all the dungeons and stuff, and I've done all that stuff, and I just cannot, other than World PvP, I can't for the life of me figure out what there is to do at the end game.
Well, I mean, I thought from what I understand, what everybody explained to me that were huge fans was that was end game, was the PvP aspect, because I mean that was one of the things that kind of drove me away from getting Guild Wars 2 at first, because I knew how the first one was. It was PvP centric. Guild Wars 2, they did a great job with with that 1 through 80.
Yeah.
That 1 through 80, putting enough story there. You know what I'm saying?
I think it's the best leveling experience out there, as far as MMO go. It was a really good leveling experience.
Right. Even though I do joke that you can get to 1 to 80 just by crafting.
I think you can actually.
Yeah, you can, and I think that's totally hilarious. And
Yep.
but I mean that's fine. But I think the end game is that world PvP and everything else, and Terra going to Terra. One of the drawbacks to Terra was that there was no raids. They learned that lesson, and they put in raids for Terra, and that was one of the things that killed Sweater. Because at one point the raids that they did have were janky and broken, and the end game was lacking, and they had some good elements with PvP and everything else. So yeah, I mean, end game is huge for any game.
Right, but I think more so with an MMO, right? Because once you've get through the leveling experience and you've done all your crafting and everything else you can do, what's next? What's your purpose of playing every day? Right? Other than creating 47 alts and playing 50 different characters on 7 different shards or servers or anything like that.
Right.
What's the point? I mean, and for some people, they just want to farm and make money or fly around or do whatever they want to do. But for a lot of people, and especially even more so since at least in MMO space, WoW rating has been more accessible, right? That it's about progression and how do you beat the next boss.
Right.
Right. It gives you a goal, right? There's no goal for, that's one of the problems. So take Guild Wars 2 for an example. I'm not trying to trash on it. Fantastic game. Almost won my game of the year last year. But what's the goal of that world PvP? There really isn't any. There's bonuses.
Well, I mean, the goal of the world PvP is like, I think, I mean, Rob, you can kick in on this. I mean, I think the goal of the world PvP is similar to what progression is. I mean, your shard against someone else's shard. So it's a collective effort to control,
Yeah, I think that's a pretty unique take on PvP and all that. I think it's community building for one, I think.
Right.
I think it's good not only for your guild, it's good for your server, it's good for community among within the server, or your shard or whatever you want to call it. But I think it's a pretty interesting idea, and I don't know a lot of that. I haven't played Guild Wars in a little while now, but I think you can unlock some pretty good stuff for your guild, right, or for your server.
Yeah. But again, you unlock it for what exactly?
Well, I mean, it's more for bragging rights. I mean, it is for bragging rights. I mean, it's the same thing.
But it's gear.
But
I know, I understand. It's fine.
But you know what I'm saying? I mean, I can understand what they're doing. It's just for that. It's their take on it. I mean, I'm not knocking Guild Wars 2. I mean, no one here is. I mean, it is different. I mean, Jason, I mean, you and I, we played WoW for a long time, so we're used to what we think is progression.
Yeah, and anybody listening to us, I know we got a lot of Guild Wars players listen to us. Obviously, we've got a big Guild Wars guild out of the GAD community, and that this is not a criticism of Guild Wars. This is a critical look and discussion here. We are thoughtful here on the gaming Grumpy Old Men After Dark. I will have a pipe next week. When we talk about the high education, whatnot. So, yeah. So I would say, I would say still though, and I haven't played any other MMOs a lot. I haven't played Lord of the Rings, which I hear is actually a really good game.
It is.
Heard it's a really. I've never played that, and I never played EverQuest or EverQuest 2, Electric Boogaloo. I never played either one of those games, and I guess because it was before I got into MMOs. I'll admit it. I always thought people who played MMOs were kind of weird. This is coming from a guy who freaking probably played 812 hours of Baldur's Gate 1. So my priorities are all jacked up sometimes. But but I think we're if we're talking about putting standards out there for endgame, I think WoW's got it exactly right, and the reason why they've got it right. It's because they've got a variety that nobody else gives you.
But they didn't get it right until when they put in LFR. I mean, they started seeing what they were doing wrong in Wrath when they they put in the buff. You know what I'm saying? To make it easier for other the people, the casual raiders, to finally get to see that end content.
And there was drama when that buff was introduced.
Right. There was drama, but when they made it accessible, which people don't like, I mean that was huge. You get to see the rest of the story.
A small vocal minority don't like that.
Right.
Right. I think it proves a point when you've got millions of people still playing your game that everybody else liked it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
So, but you know, so if you look at that, so MMO endgame, that's obviously what draws you to the game. I haven't touched any of the endgame and mists yet. You'll hear more about that because I'm probably going to start playing pretty regularly, because I really did like the way. I don't know. It just was starting to play. I've gotten 86. I got one level into the expansion, and I just really like the way it feels. It's pretty amazing. And I was really unsatisfied with Cataclysm. You know, I made it. It was my biggest disappointment of the year in 11 for the Gaddies.
Right.
So I was really dissatisfied with that. But that's not the. What's that?
I said I'm glad you're seeing why I gave them. You know, I did give them MMO of the year in 12.
Yeah. Well, I've not. Yeah. No. Fair enough.
And when I say that, I also say the greatest surprise was Guild Wars 2.
Right.
And so I'm just saying.
Well,
so everybody got their fair share.
But what must be said is I don't think you're just saying it to me. Okay, that's all I got to say. So that's all I'm going to say right there. Man.
But even with the end game, we didn't want to just talk about MMO end game.
No, and that's my next point. So that end game used to be an MMO thing, right? And it's not anymore. That's for sure. Rob, I know you brought up this topic.
Yeah, I mean,
what game made you think about the end of the end game, or the end of a game, I guess?
Well, the one that really struck me recently was I think Borderlands 2, because there is
it literally struck you in the face last week.
It literally. I mean, you know, you and I finished our True Vault Hunter mode playthrough, and I think we were kind of both surprised with the fact that, well, first of all, you and I tried briefly.
This is spoiler free, right?
What's that?
Yeah, no, it is. It's spoiler free.
All right, cool.
Jason and I tried to play some of the new content, the Sir Hammerlock's, what's it called? Sir Hammerlock's
Big Game Hunt.
Big Game Hunt. And at levels, I think we were 48 and 49 or 49 and 50 at the time.
No, we were 43, 44.
Okay.
We had like 6 levels to
max. Yep.
Yeah.
Right, but we were mid 40s. Okay, so and Jason and I had our collective asses handed to us.
It was a smackdown like I couldn't ever freaking believe.
It was like we'd stumbled into a level we shouldn't be near.
And by the way, it may be the most racist expansion I've ever played. More to come on that next week.
More to come on that. So,
okay, go ahead.
But you know, so, and I think that, you know, we thought, kind of after we finished the first playthrough and we found out about True Vault Hunter mode, we thought, okay, you know, there's sort of the end game, right? That's sort of what we've been playing for. Now the loot's going to start showing up, and we're going to get, you know, better rewards and all this. And as we start reading a little more and looking more into the game, we find out that really it doesn't start getting a lot better or end gamey until after you finish True Vault Hunter mode.
Wait, let's put it this way. Rob and I had other than that Sir Hammerlock's thing, we had no problem steamrolling just about everything in the rest of the game.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're pretty skilled players. We played a lot.
Hunter mode did get pretty rough.
It got rough, but it wasn't like we were impossible odds. Throw your controller. We're never going to finish this out.
Right.
Right.
So, but yeah. So as it turns out, after you finish your True Vault Hunter mode, after you finish the end battle, the second time through, apparently all the side quests scale up to 50. And
everything in the game scales to 50, 51, or 52.
Wow.
Yeah. So
everything
you can go back
in the game.
And finish up all the side quests. You can get all the loot that you didn't get on the second playthrough, and it will all be level appropriate for your end game.
Every boss you've ever fought can respawn, and you can farm them for loot, for legendary level 50 loot.
So, I mean, from some of the things that Jason and I have tried to do since we hit 50, we are not looted up enough yet to beat some of the challenges.
Really?
Yes.
Have you been to the noxious, what is that place called, Rob?
Dude,
The Crystal Caverns?
No, the noxious, the one that we were at when we pulled freaking Volumorpheus or...
Oh, yeah.
well, I just
it's-
fought with the
oh,
siren chick.
Caustic
just-
Caverns.
Caustic Caverns. Have you the Caustic Caverns where all the bugs and stuff are?
No.
Oh dear God! I tell you what, that's the hardest part of the. That's almost the hardest area in the game when you play it through the first time. The second time it's pretty hard. This third time it's absolutely nuts. And you know the Vorkids, right? The Vorkids, the ones that the bugs, and then they land in the ground and they create the pods. JJ, you run into you run into Tiny Tina, right?
No.
You've not run into Tiny Tina yet?
No.
Oh, never mind then.
Dude, I mean, seriously, I'm like, because we re-rolled with the Mechnomancer and stuff like that, so we just finally caught up to where we were. So we just turned on the power at that outstation outside of Sanctuary.
Oh, okay.
Oh, no, we're with Moxie's daughter. We just got there.
Oh, you're out with Ellie?
Ellie, oh, that is a riot. Okay, so, but without giving anything away, we can say that when Jason and I went back there after 50, and we're clearing this area out, there's basically it's set up as a big like complex in the middle, and then around the outside is like a lake of acid, and you got to like make your way around the outside of it, right?
And between the complex and the acid is nothing but death.
And then the whole time that we're fighting death in the fields between a rock and a caustic place, there is one enemy up on top of this complex that is
badass that keeps sniping us.
Griefing us.
It was still griefing us. It was a big.
It was sniping us from. I mean, we're like, where is this coming from?
Yeah, it's like we're fighting
it followed us around the entire complex. It never jumped down to pursue us. Right. But it just shot acid at us the whole time.
It was a stupid bug, and it literally it was like shooting this freaking goo like 700 yards at me.
Wow!
And killing me. And I'll tell you those Vorkids. I just give you this. This isn't a spoiler. What they do is they land on the ground. They turn into a pod, and they get to the next level. So they start as little babies. Then they turn into adults. Then if they do it again, they turn into badasses.
Oh,
and if they do it again, they turn into super badasses.
No, ultimate badasses.
No, super badass.
Super and then ultimate.
Then they turn into the ultimate badass. And then if they do it again, they turn into a Seraph boss. That's the size of a freaking airliner.
Now,
and we had that thing spawn up.
Now, Jason and I fought this thing for
20 minutes.
It was longer than that. It had to be 30 or 40 minutes.
And
just
that stupid thing was griefing us the whole time.
Yes. Yep. Non-stop, just stream of bullets shooting at this thing, and we never got it. We got it down to half health, and then it despawned.
Yep, because we took too long. Yeah. So what we realized there is, what I think I've realized, that end game, because the point of that end game is to fight those big. They're called Seraph bosses, and they're these level 40. Were they 52?
Yeah,
54.
Like yeah. 54, I think. Yep.
54 boss. They're 4 levels higher than you. And there's like 4 or 5 of them in the game. And the point of the whole end game is to gear up to fight these things. Didn't realize it was going to be as hard as it was. It's freaking brutal, dude. It's unbelievable. But I still think it's interesting that a shooter like this has an end game, right? Wow. I also realize their end game is tuned for 4 players. Because 2 of us couldn't have killed it. Can't kill it.
But I think... Now, the other thing we don't know is if it gets harder with 4 people, right? Because with 4 players in the campaign or the regular mode, you get more enemies. Now, when you get tougher enemies, I don't think the Seraph bosses scale. That's a guess. If you know, please.
How could they? Would it be level 90?
I don't know. Or maybe you gotta fight 2 of them. I don't know.
I mean, I would have ran out of ammo before I would have killed that freaking thing.
Yeah.
So
back to the end game though. They've been doing this for a while in some games, and I always loved games that did this. Where you basically get to play the game again, only with all the same stuff, right? So you sort of pick up where you left off. You play the story again, but you sort of pick up where you left off with your, with your abilities and your equipment and everything else. I mean, I think the first game I can remember doing this is the original Zelda, right? Where you get to the end and you've got to end up starting over again. With you go back to the beginning of the story and you find out you can play it all over again. Now, I don't recall if you hang on to your equipment or not, but that was the first game I ever remember that, like, you finish the boss and then you go back and start over.
So Zelda did that? You can play the whole thing through with all your stuff?
Yep.
See, I don't. So I'm kind of getting a little disheartened here, because it's like, so you're telling me, but I get to finish the story.
Yeah. No.
I get to finish the story, but if I want to do the expansions and the other stuff, I'm gonna have to play through how many more times?
No. You can play the story and all the expansions on one playthrough. And those end bosses we're talking about, completely optional and have nothing to do with anything. They're there if you're a crazy person and you want the challenge to try to do it.
No, it's literally end game content. I mean, it's designed because we kept, Jason and I think the first time we heard about the Seraph bosses was in the Dust. No, what's it called? Is it the Dust?
No, it's the Dust. No, it's where the crazy freaking Hunter S. Thompson guy is. Yeah, it's the Scarlet, the pirate booty. Expansion. Anyway, but you find out there's this place that only takes crystals from a Seraph. Seraph guard, I guess, or Seraph boss. And so all the way through the expansions, Jason and I are like, where are these things? We haven't seen them. We haven't fought them. We don't know where they are. You hear nothing else about them other than there's this guy behind a door that will take something from the Seraph boss and you can buy stuff, I guess. But it's literally designed to be there for after your second playthrough. Because I think on the first playthrough, I think I got to I finished it at level 26 or so. Which seems about right? If you're going to play it through twice to get to 50. What's that? Sorry. No, so I think on my first playthrough, I think you and I finished the boss the first time at level 25, 26. Yeah, maybe 30, but maybe not. The leveling took a while after. It's like every other game. It's exponential. Yeah. So, but Robbie, I think the game that made you actually bring this up though was Arkham City, right? That too, yeah. Actually, Arkham City and Prototype 2, which I finished both those last week. Right, and the end game in those kind of games, right, is more of going and finishing all those collection quests. Yeah, which I always have the greatest intention of going back to finish all those. Frankly, if that's the end game, I don't always go back and do that. Well, you know what it is, right? It feels like a chore. Well, it's pure achievement hunting. Yeah, right. Right? That's all that is. The only reason that even exists in the game, not the only reason, but like the Riddler question mark things. What was the whole point of that? To get achievement. Right? It added stuff to do in the game, and you could do some cool skill-based stuff, but it didn't give you any powers or any benefit in the game as a player, right? I think it was a way for you to farm XP a little bit, because you got quite a bit of XP for it. So you could unlock more weapons and everything else, right? Or more abilities, or yeah, I guess so. So arguably, it helps your character development. Your double remoted batarangs. Exactly. Exactly. I need a double remoted batarang in the face. But, what other games out there that are non-traditional? Because an MMO is really traditionally endgame. Okay, I got it. And then endgame, I kind of have a problem with. Diablo 3, right?
Oh, God.
I believe Diablo 2 ruined Diablo 3. And this is why. Diablo 2 came out at a time when there was nothing really like it out there. Yeah. Right? And it created this community of people who played it literally for 10 years. Yeah. And did crazy things with it and, farmed and did all these other things, right? Because the end game in Diablo 2 is farming. Right. Is farming for loot and just getting the best loot and trying to beat bosses on Nightmare. Is Nightmare the highest, I think? Nightmare or Inferno? I'm not 100% sure. Or is it Hell? No, Diablo 3 goes, I think, Hell, Nightmare, Inferno. I think. There's like 4 or 5 levels in Diablo 3, ridiculous
Yeah.
amount of levels. But there you have to beat the last level before you can wrap up. I think what Diablo 3 screwed up in their end game, right? So the end game of Diablo 3 again is grinding for loot, getting loot, making your character, and it's completely right. In Diablo, it's completely gear based, right? Once you get to the end game,
Yeah.
all you're trying to do is get better gear to make your player right.
Right.
But what was the biggest flaw there? We're going to talk about paying to win. It's the stupid auction house.
Yep.
And the reason why I have a problem with the auction house in Diablo 3, now I'm going to tell you why, JJ. I see you looking at me. And the other, I've been playing a lot of Torchlight 2 lately.
But I'm not a huge fan of Diablo 3.
I know you're not.
And well, go ahead about Torchlight 2.
Hold on. And what I figured out finally, the deal was, the reason why I like Torchlight 2 so much better than Diablo 3, I can get the best loot in the game at any point in Diablo in Torchlight 2.
Yep.
On a random drop.
Yep.
I can't do that in Diablo for the most part.
No, you get some stupid stuff like if you're a monk, you get like agility and intellect, and you're like, oh, you get like intellect and stam on a fist weapon. And you're like, what?
The itemization is so bizarrely random. I mean, there's so much useless, and yeah, right. And you get an orange weapon with that, right? You get something that's supposed to be really high level,
right?
And nobody in the game can use it for anything,
right?
Right. So it's worthless.
So yeah, I mean, that I wouldn't say it's the real. It wasn't even the real auction house that put it up on made it bad. It's the itemization that you're talking about. You know,
right,
you know
but
what I'm saying?
I think with the auction, that itemization and the at the levels that they drop at, the rates they drop at for you, is tweaked because the auction house exists.
Oh yeah,
right.
Yep. Oh yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Tweaked down.
Oh yeah, they totally put in just throw all the stacks into one thing and shake it up in a bottle and throw it out type deal.
I mean that's similar to what I was talking about in the last couple of shows about the whole, they're purposely nerfing it to increase the revenue from the game. Now, in this case, or in Diablo 3's case, it wasn't revenue for the developer.
Oh, they get a kickback.
Well, yeah, sure, of course they do, right? But I mean, it's purposely nerfing the game for a non-game return. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And that's the part that irritated me about Diablo 3 is not that it was a bad game. It wasn't groundbreaking like Diablo 2 was, but it was okay. But the thing that irritated me the most was everybody playing it simply to get the best loot and sell it. And to me, that's taking everything that's fun about a game and stripping it out and then making it a job.
Mm-hmm.
Right, right.
And that's not why I play the games.
I was almost. I played through the first 2 levels. I played through normal, and I made through Nightmare, and then I got to Inferno mode, and then I figured out I had to start farming, and I was like, there's a time that I wouldn't mind doing this, but what's the actual point?
Yeah, right.
Right. It's what's the point? Is it to get to the next level? I don't have anybody in here. It's not like an MMO where I got all my friends in here playing with me.
Yeah.
I had folks playing with me for a while, but all of us stopped playing Diablo. Torchlight, I know, JJ, you played Torchlight too?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm level like 17 or 18.
Okay.
That game is fantastic. It really is. And it's not, Diablo looks nicer overall. I mean, there's different art styles. Diablo is a great looking game. Played like Diablo for the most part, all those type of things. But I don't know. It seemed like they are trying to generate an end game for I'm not quite sure who.
Right.
Now, is it a fact they couldn't meet their expectations? There was no way, right? There was no way. Because Diablo 2 was this thing. It's always going to be this thing. And there's no way you're ever going to make any of these games. It's like Halo 2, right, Rob? Nothing's ever going to be Halo 2 again.
Right.
Nothing's ever going to be Diablo 2 again, for Diablo's franchise. You've hit nothing's ever going to be World of Warcraft if they decide to go a different route at some point and make a WoW 2 or whatever it's going to be. So, that's kind of freaking. Yeah, I'm not a big fan. So, I guess in some cases, though, what the end game is multiplayer, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, really. You look at everybody's favorite game, the Modern Warfare series, Call of Duty series.
I hope your tongue was solidly inside of your cheek.
Yes, it was. But I mean, you look at those games yeah, I think that the end game is the multiplayer because and I've said it before that the single player campaign is really just a tutorial for the multiplayer.
It's a bad tutorial for the multiplayer.
Well,
because the freaking enemies actually act like freaking actual combatants,
right?
And not like freaking crazy 15-year-olds
right.
throwing knives across the screen at you.
Right.
No, I'm sorry.
No. But so and I what's the end game in multiplayer? And I don't even know. I mean, I prestiged 3, 4, or 5 times, but at some point, you get tired of that, and so yeah, you're right. I mean, the end game is multiplayer for a lot of the games.
Right. It's funny because back in the day, games didn't have an end game. The end game was fighting Bowser in his castle.
Yeah.
Right. The end game was fighting the big face, and what was that game? Not Zaxxon. So, what the hell was that game with that face?
Tron.
No, that big.
Tron. I know which one you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about? That freaking face terrified me as a kid. That was a terrifying face, and it made that creepy noise. Ugh. Anyway, so, and you said Zelda is probably the first game to have an end game, and that's true. And it's funny, back then, we would have played it 1,000 times after the end of the game, right? We just keep doing stuff.
Yeah.
Because you can
try to do speed runs or whatever else, but you look back at a game like I don't know, Galaga, or the some of the old shooters, and I mean, you basically started in the end game, right? Because it just kept, like Pitfall, it just kept going and going and going and going and going.
Right. Well, Mario was like that too, because when you beat Bowser, where'd you go? You went back to 1-1. You're like,
right.
There's no more after this. I'm back to the beginning.
Then you have the end game for Street Fighter, where it's like, how far can I go in 1 quarter?
Yeah.
That's old school. Yeah. No. Right. So this concept of end game's kind of new, but it's kind of important in some cases. I really wish, though, more developers would go, hey, I don't have to have a long tail on this game. This game is what it is, and that's all it needs to be. A lot of these indie games are like that, right? Or The Walking Dead's like that, right? There's no end game in that. It's a story, and it's telling a story, and that's all there needs to be is a story.
Yeah, and you can replay it, but I think as we all sort of assumed, and I think sort of confirmed later on that even if you chose differently, some of your options would be different, but ultimately the story ended up the same way.
There's no point in replaying that game.
And then you have the internet. I was going to finish my bounty hunter on Star Wars, but you know what I did instead? I went to YouTube and watched how it all ended.
I should probably look at mine.
You can say I went and said good. I said, what is it? Light-sided or neutral bounty hunter ending. Just to watch it, and I was like, okay, I'm satisfied. I don't have to go back.
Well, it's the same thing I did with Call of Duty, Black Ops 2. I played through the campaign once, and made my decisions, because that's also a new thing, right, in games. And recent. I mean recent. Kids, I mean recent. I don't mean the last 4 or 5 years. I mean like the last 8 years. Right. This generation of consoles, where your choices in a game directly affect the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I think the best example of it is Mass Effect, right?
I think the best example of it is Choose Your Adventure books.
Well, yeah, but
I'd go back even further and say Knights of the Old Republic, I think, was the first one to really do that.
Yeah, they're the first one to do it, but did anybody do it better than Mass Effect doing it over 3 games? Where stuff you did in the first game actually affected the third game, as long as you had the same.
No, hands down, yeah, they had the biggest arc, definitely.
No, but yeah, KOTOR was the first one to really do it, right? And we're all talking about BioWare, right? It's all BioWare.
Yeah, right.
Right, this is all the same company who's been on the cutting edge of all of that stuff. But even COD had that to a point. This last COD, I will say, I liked the story of this Call of Duty better than I liked any other one.
Yeah.
However, still have only played one multiplayer match, and we'll be turning that game in soon for something on some new release.
Do it before GameStop's gone.
Oh, I go to Best Buy anyway.
You've got until Friday.
Points. Dude, isn't it amazing how quickly the stock market can really hose you?
Dude.
Well,
I mean,
I think, and I hadn't heard the stuff about the GameStop yet, but it's going to go the way of Blockbuster. One way, sooner or later, it's going to go the way of Blockbuster, right?
Right.
There's no way around it, and I think because originally, they haven't been doing the used game thing forever. I mean, that used to be a small part of their business back, before the days of Amazon and everything, and same day delivery and all that.
Well, used games was a thing. It was a thing at a flea market, right?
Right.
That's the only place you ever found used games. And the funny thing about it is, back when we were younger, right? And I mean a lot younger now in this case. We were kids when the Super Nintendo and Nintendo were out. Yep. Games were more expensive than they are now.
No, they weren't.
Right.
Relatively speaking, because they were $30-$40 back in.
No, more than that.
No, they were like
$40.
They were like 30 to 60. They kind of
for the NES.
Yeah. They all stayed about the same. I remember putting them on layaway, Jason.
Oh, fair enough.
But I don't remember $80.
I think your parents were taking a cut of that.
They might have been. Well, I was.
They may have told you that so they wouldn't have to buy it for you.
That's always possible. No, my parents would have just let me down easy. They would have said, "No, I'm not getting that." That's just would have been. You ain't getting that. Sorry. That's how that would have went. So, I appreciate that. I appreciate that they had let me down hard. Other games with endgame, endgame is really this thing. There's always got to be something after, right? There's always something after the credits now. I'm terrified to not watch the credits in every game, right? And I usually watch it out of respect to the people who worked on the game, except when I have to watch the 87 people that work for Volt.
Right. Right.
At the credits of every game. You guys did a good job QAing. Thanks very much. And you're going to like... So as far as game endings go, though, right? That's all part of this. What's the best ending of a game that you can remember? Don't mention anything JJ is currently playing. Go, Rob.
Sorry, what? Say that again?
Best
I was
ending
trying to find out how much
game.
games were costing.
Oh, me too, man.
Oh, look at you too. Call me on it. What's the best ending of a game that you can think of?
Oh, geez.
Please say
best
Mass
ending
Effect
or best
3.
end game?
Ending. Right, because the end game of a lot of games is just the ending. That's the end game.
Right.
Final boss fight.
I think one of my favorites, and this is terrible because I can't remember exactly which one it was. It was either Halo 3 or Reach. I think it was 3, where you're driving a Warthog, and everything's falling apart around you, and the platforms are falling. And
you and I worked on that one for like 25 minutes one day.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you were with the it was 3.
Because you get to the end and you got to jump the Warthog into the back of the waiting Pelican, right?
Yep.
I think it's a Pelican, either a Pelican or it might be a drop.
Playing that soon.
Okay. Anyway,
hey, I'm not really listening. I'm still looking for prices. So I heard
by soon I mean 3 years from now. Don't worry.
I heard Halo 3 and Warthog, and then I started tuning out.
Yep. No, it doesn't give you their way other than you drive one at the end, but I think that was the most dramatic, because it literally it feels like the world is going to hell in a handcart.
You bring up Halo. What about the last stand on Reach though? Remember at the end of Reach where you've got the turret and the Covenant's coming to overrun you? It was that mission after the credits. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, that's right. I think that was impressive.
That was
after the credits.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool though. You want to play it.
It is pretty cool. But
when you get to that game,
nothing felt as to me at the end of 3 there was a huge relief. When you jump that Warthog into the back of the ship, and you just get away, and it was very satisfying because there was a huge, like you said, 35-minute, battle or you're moving and trying to get away from stuff while everything's falling apart. It was that was probably one of my favorites, I think.
I know, JJ, you don't finish any games, so.
So Rob and I were right, man. The games weren't over 50, but
see, I'm finding stuff that says that they were anywhere from 30 to, they said Chrono Trigger was 100.
Yep. Some of the Japanese stuff was way expensive. I never had any of that stuff though. That's Doug.
So I don't know. So maybe we were just buying the cheap, crappy games. I don't know. But
right here it said the regular titles were $50. The A-list games were $60.
Yep.
Games with batteries generally cost an extra $10 or something.
Yep.
Which, by the way, if you do the math, that's not the same price as they are now. I know the numbers are the same.
Right. So 20 and $30 back then is the same as what?
About
40
it's a little
40 and $60 now.
Yeah, it's not quite that bad, but it's there was a big chunk of money back then.
Yeah.
I was trying to think of what my favorite game ending of all time was, Rob. All day. That was a good one on Halo 3. JJ, you got a best game ending? I know you just watch them on YouTube.
Let's see. Best game ending that I liked the most was probably Wrath of the Lich King.
That's a pretty good point, dude.
The most memorable, and plus being able to share that with 9 other people, getting that kill the first time and seeing that cinematic.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't replace, when it's with a whole other group, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you're a good point. And you know what, Nick and I were talking about why that, that's when Nick and I met was Lich King, and we rated really hardcore then. I mean, we were top probably 6 or 7 10-man team on the server then, and we had a good shot at getting the first kill, and we really had a good shot at the first heroic kill. Freaking heroic putricide. Anyway, to this day, I figured out why that was so satisfying, especially for guys like you. You played starting vanilla or BC?
Vanilla.
The Lich King was a character the whole time.
Yep.
And he was a problem. He caused so many problems in the game environment.
He'll pop up everywhere.
You were playing a game for 5 or 6 years at that point that he was the big bad kind of out there.
Okay.
Right.
He really, it's like playing, you play a game for like 30 hours, you're like, oh man, I'm finally going to kill this guy. You play this guy against for 500 hours and you finally get a chance to kill this guy.
Yeah.
And I think that was one of the problems Cataclysm had. Even though Deathwing was so awesome, Deathwing was only a piece of lore written down somewhere. Mm-hmm. Or was he was Warcraft 2 or Warcraft 1 or some way early Warcraft game?
Definitely because of who he was. I mean, he was in human form from vanilla. I mean, all of that stuff was from vanilla, but you had to really dig in to and be into the lore. You know what I'm saying? The whole backstory and everything else.
He wasn't in human form. That was a Nixia. He was.
There was a lot of dragons that were in human form, and he.
Anyway, my point was, you're right. My point was though, the Lich King showed up in every a lot of quests you did. There were whole parts of the world that were changed. Hell, my race was there because of the Lich King, right? Mm-hmm. Played undead. He was the reason why we existed.
Right.
So I think that's what made that so freaking satisfying to finally get that kill. Man, that was a good one. Wrath of the Lich King. That was a good one.
Yeah, and
he brought you into existence, and then you took relish in killing him.
Oh yeah, because it wasn't.
That's pretty cold, Jason.
No. I existed as a human being.
Oh
yeah.
Then it was an intelligent zombie.
Right. Pretty much. Yeah.
Basically, it's what the undead are. Yeah.
So
undead are a sentient light race.
So just to help you out, Deathwing was Davil Prestor. He was in the Second War, so he was hidden behind closed doors and snuck around. So,
yep. So
that's the whole thing with that.
I'm trying to think of the games I played that the endings were freaking epic. See, the problem is everything's got a sequel now, right? So unless you get to the end of the trilogy or something, like Mass Effect 3, which I thought was a pretty good ending until that little ghost kid showed up and drove me insane.
Yeah.
It was a mistake, and I understand they maybe had that in their mind the whole time.
No, they didn't. That was a cop out. It was a cop out. It had to be.
Yeah.
It should have been some.
It was right up there with the Matrix. They had no idea it was going to. Well, Mass Effect at least knew they were going to be a trilogy. Matrix didn't, but they had to make something impressive, and that's what they came up with, and it fell short. I think. It
wasn't, and I gotta say, it fell short. It wasn't horrendous.
No,
it wasn't a horrendous ending
horrendous.
of a game that made me very, very, very upset.
I'll tell you, the ending wouldn't have been. Here's what they should have done with the ending. They should have had, you got that end run for the portal, right? For the transporter, whatever it is, to get up onto the Citadel.
Right.
Right. And or the key. Anyway, they should have cut from that to the epilogue, and just cut out all the crap with the ghost child and the explanation, and
You mean like a? So, did you guys? Either one of you read the Dark Tower series by Stephen King?
No.
Okay, so I don't know if you guys are the Gunslinger. Sorry, it's the Gunslinger, Dark Tower. It's 8 books. Dude wrote those books over 30 years, and I love them. They're great books. If you ever get a chance to read them, you need to read the Gunslinger.
No, thank you.
It's not horror. It's not horror.
No. Oh no, I don't like Stephen King.
Okay. Well, can't be my friend anymore. Anyway, because I know you guys see that the whole. It's all Stephen King right there.
Well, if you go back and listen to the Valentine cast, you will understand why I don't like Stephen King. But
what episode this week?
Nah, this is a long time ago.
Fair enough. Anyway, well, at the end of the book, you go through this 30 years of him having to write these books, and you get to the end. And at the end, his whole mission is to get to the Dark Tower. He's trying to get to the Dark Tower. He goes up the stairs, and he's at the door. And Stephen King ends it right there. Him walking through the door, Rob, just like you said they should in Mass Effect.
Yep.
But he goes, okay, listen. Next chapter says, if you want to know what happens, read on. And do not blame me for anything.
Okay. Press X to continue.
If you do not want to know, close the book and leave it where it is.
So he says that?
Yep, he's like, you're going to be mad? Some of you will love it. Some of you will hate it. Some of you will never talk to me again.
He's going to meet the architect or some shit.
He said, I have had. He said he's had the ending in his head since he conceived of the first story. He's like, I knew how this was going to end the whole time. It was just getting there, and I won't let the cat out of the bag on air if nobody's read it yet, because that would be horrendous. But yeah, no, it would be very similar to that. Maybe, yeah, that would be that would be a really good way to end in the trilogy. That would have been really good. I would have to say the one I probably liked the most, and this is going to be kind of weird, Madden 95.
Okay.
Madden 95 had a great 16-bit Super Bowl parade. It was great.
Really?
Yes, it did. It had a great, and it was just like, it's the only time the Lions ever won the Super Bowl, man. What can you say? But man, I was thinking about that. Madden 95 made me so happy when I finally won the Super Bowl on All-Pro, whatever the highest level it was back then.
Nice.
It was freaking hard. But yeah, Madden 95 was a good ending. Not, the story is endearing, but you already talked about Mass Effect being a horrible ending. JJ, what else are horrible endings? You think of any horrible endings? Off the top of your head? I've been trying to think of horrible game endings. If they're horrible endings of games, I probably never made it all the way through them.
Right, and that's what I was trying to think.
You know what I mean?
I mean, even the ones that I haven't finished had good endings. I mean, even the Bounty Hunter story, I enjoyed it from SWOTR and stuff like that.
I will say for a while there, it felt like every Call of Duty game ended the same, with me almost dead on the ground, throwing a knife or shooting somebody as they're about to kill me. Those were pretty, it's the same ending over and over again. Rob, any other horrible endings? Oh, Crackdown. Crackdown's ending. Did either one of you play Crackdown?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Rob, you played it with me, I think. You and I and Dave played a bunch of that.
Yeah, it was... I never saw it coming. I'll give him that.
Yeah, but
yeah, it was a little bit. Yeah.
So JJ, the whole deal of Crackdown was you were a super cop trying to clean up everything.
Okay.
And you didn't know who the mastermind of all the different gangs were, and you had the person talking to you that was kind of like the narrator, but also like the police chief kind of thing, dude, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end, he just basically says, "It was him, and you've done his bidding the whole time."
Yeah.
That's like,
That's it?
oh my, that was it. You didn't fight him, never saw him,
Nope.
nothing. He started laughing at you. That was it. That was the whole ending of the game. It felt like I had just been trolled.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Exactly right.
You've been my bitch this whole time.
Yep.
it's exactly what it was. It would have been better if you would have said that.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, I think that's enough for today. How did you guys like the new intros and outros, folks? The music. We spiced up a little bit, a little blues going in, blues going out.
The Beautimus, man. It was Beautimus.
It was Beautimus.
Who made that music?
That would be, the music is by Admiral Bob. And actually, the outro music is Alex by Admiral Bob. If you want to know more about those guys, we'll have it in the show notes, since I have to do that by law.
The Admiral Bob?
It's the Admiral Bob.
Nice.
Creative Commons is a beautiful thing, folks. Creative Commons is a beautiful thing. There's so much music there, it's unbelievable. So, hope you guys like that. That'll be in the show notes from now on, so you get some attribution to those guys right there. Rob, could you thank our sponsor for us?
Doghouse Systems at doghousesystems.com. Purveyor of top shelf elite gaming rigs, all the way from laptops, desktops, anything you need, including like full-on racing rigs. Yeah, absolutely. Where if you head out to doghousesystems.com on checkout, enter the code JJ. What's the code?
After Dark.
And you get double the RAM.
I found out it was one word.
It is one word.
Excellent.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
After Dark, one word.
Not After Dark, one word, but just After Dark.
Right. That's right. That's right. Which word is that?
After Dark.
Which one?
And you get double the memory.
Yes, you can follow us on Twitter at GOMAD Show. Of course, please review us on iTunes. Those always count. You can check us out on our YouTube channel at GOMAD. Just go to the YouTube channel there. Actually, where you can find us the most, though, is now we have a live stream up with IRC chat and the whole 9 yards at gamingafterdark.com. Take the drop down for podcasts, click on GOMAD, and you'll see our latest episode up there for your viewing pleasure, and then the live stream below that if you want to join us live on Wednesday, or mostly Wednesday nights. It certainly won't be next Thursday night because it's JJ Day. I didn't know they made a whole card just around you, JJ.
I know, man. It's a beautiful thing.
Yep. Before I forget, also, you go on our website, gamingafterdark.com, head out to the forums. We're looking for people to help out with some creative type of activities there. We're looking for folks to write potential reviews and opinions on games. We're looking for folks to help with some graphic design things. Just about, we're looking for any help. Anybody wants to get involved, we are certainly open to that. And
there's no pay at this point, but the benefits are fantastic.
Yes, you get to know us.
They're beautiful.
That's right.
I will be your friend on gamingafterdark.com. So you got that going for you. JJ, where can the party people find you when you're not hanging out here?
They can find me at valentinecast.com. Yesterday, the reason we started late was that Renee and I were guesting on Citadel Cafe. You can check that out. Also, that was episode 52. There should have been a little shout out there for gaming for GOMAD as well. And then you can follow me on Twitter, the Cowboy, TheCaoboi.
Rob, when you're not doing this, what you doing?
Working and regretting every decision. Oh, you mean
no.
Oh.
Go to your happy place, Rob.
You can find me on Xbox Live under Robot Spider.
Do you do anything else? Any other shows, maybe? I don't know.
No, not. Oh yeah, there's one other one. You can catch more of me and Jason typically on Friday nights on the Gaming After Dark flagship show. All the websites are previously listed, and we're going to be a little bit late this week, but we're going to be recording about 10 p.m. Eastern, and I'll be doing a remote from an undisclosed location.
Beautiful. Beautiful. We also have another show on the network, Terry After Dark. Check out Nick and Caleb for Guild Wars 2 info and fun. Gentlemen, anything else?
That's it.
That's it. That's good.
All right. For Rob, for JJ, I'm Jason DDS. Everybody, we will see you in game.
See you guys.
Peace.
We are out.